Hey everybody, welcome back. It is January 2019. Hope everybody had a good holiday, good end of the year, and a good start to the new year. So today, and before I go any further, I have not forgotten the contest on my big giant Hulk. There he is with his little brother. I am going to have a contest in the next few days as soon as I figure out all the details, and we are going to give that giant Hulk away to somebody. But today we are going to deal with one of the most common problems I have seen on the Ender 3, and certainly both of mine had it, and that is the stock feed mechanism is garbage. It is very good at printing flexible filaments right out of the box, but it has a couple problems. One of them is it's all plastic. The big problem is the spring is junk, and it's kind of hard to source a spring that's not junk. It's also not adjustable in any way. And being all cast out of plastic, the little nubs that hold it in are not movable, so it's kind of fun getting the spring in and out. But the real big problem is the pivot arm is not sleeved, which means you have to leave the screw that holds it down loose. If you tighten it, then the pivot arm won't pivot anymore, and you get that doesn't work right. You get uh, lack of extrusion, proper extrusion, and your prints will look like crap. So if these things were $100, I'd take you through trying to fix them and make them work right, but they're not. This is the one from TH3D Studios. It's like 13 bucks in shipping, and you have to print a little piece to go in it. On the one over here, I have the original the original MacEwen Mark 8, which works great. It also requires a little piece to be printed to go into it. But today we have a little bit of excitement going on. We have the 2018 version of the MacEwen 3D Flexi Plus Mark 8. This is a replacement extruder. It is the upgraded version of the standard Mark 8 designed specifically to do flexible filament. And we are going to put that on this printer so we can compare it directly to the original version of the Mark 8. So let's open up the package and let's see what we got. I have already opened it once because this is not the first take of this video. I screwed the first couple takes up. So you don't get to see me tear the package open. But let's pop it open and let's see what's in it. First off, we have the base. And this base differs from the standard Mark 8 in that it comes with this piece here. The Bowden tube fitting does not screw directly into the base. It screws into this piece, which has this extension here. Gotta find something better to point with than my great big finger. It has this extension here. Can you see it there? Yeah, there you go. It has this extension here that moves all the way up toward the feed gear and makes it so there's no distance between the feed gear and the Bowden tube fitting. That allows flexible filament to go through because, as we all know, you can't push a rope. So in the other one, you had to print this plastic piece that pressed in here and filled that space up. But my problem with that plastic one has been no matter how tight you press it in, if you don't glue it, sooner or later the filament feed and the retraction and forth and back of the filament will start it getting loose, and it will start moving back and forth as the filament feeds and retracts. And unfortunately, when it moves this way, it moves it into the gear. Now, it doesn't really hurt anything. The gear doesn't suck it in and rip it up, but nonetheless it wears it, and sooner or later it's going to wear it out. This solves that issue. So there you have it. Up also in here, we have the gear. We have see if you can see, I got to look behind me to make sure you can see everything. We have all the fasteners we need. We have the spring. We have the brass feed gear. In the other package, we have the pivot arm. They also put a piece of Capricorn tubing in it. I'll show you that in a moment. They have a spare Bowden tube fitting and all the fasteners. The sleeve is the pivot arm is properly sleeved so that you can actually tighten it without binding it like the stock unit. And let me see if I can get this out of here without throwing it all over the floor. Yep, there went something on the floor. So they press in this piece of Capricorn tubing, and man, let me tell you something. It is seriously pressed in there. And on this side, they have properly angled it so it can fit right up in the idler. And the idler is also sleeved so its screw can be tightened without binding it. And oh, I know, the sleeve fell. Oh, okay. So this is the sleeve that goes in here. This is what the stock Ender 3 unit lacks. The sleeve fits in there. That way when you put the fastener in to hold it, it tightens down without binding and preventing the thing from pivoting, and you get under extrusion. So there it all is. I am going to move the camera around so we have a better angle to where it is, and I'm going to put it in, and I will be right back. Okay, I now think I have a reasonably good camera angle on this. It actually seems to have focused even though I had to do it manually. And we are going to start replacing this. If this all goes well, I may fast forward through it. But let's see how long it takes, and maybe I'll leave it up. You can see the part that I printed for this TH3D Studios unit. It is also the same thing I printed for the standard Mark 8. It gets the filament right up there, so there isn't a lot of unsupported filament space. The problem with it is there's enough drag on it, it starts moving back and forth, and the more it bangs back and forth into the gear, the more it wears, and then the more it bangs back and forth, and the more it wears, and wash, rinse, and repeat till you wind up having to put a new one in. If you don't print a lot, you may never have to. If you do, you will. So let's get this show on the road. See this, but I am just replacing this gear that came with the other one with the new one that came with the MacEwen unit. And I also just wanted to say, and I think I forgot, I did not purchase this MacEwen unit, and I did not solicit it. It just arrived in the mail one day. The previous MacEwen unit on the other Ender 3 I did purchase, that I did my first review with, and I guess they saw it and thought, hey, you know, maybe if we send him one, he'll do another review. And guess what? They were right, I will. So we're going to put this new gear on. And there are 2 set screw holes, but only 1 set screw, which is fine. Doesn't really need 2. I'm going to have to back that out a bit to get it on. And there we go. And I am just going to snug it up now because I'm not sure of the exact height that I want, because I didn't mark the stupid thing like I probably should have. Okay. Let's put the base down. I got one of the screws here. One of my nitpicking things that really didn't matter about the previous unit was that these holes are not countersunk, and they're providing an Allen head, and I always like to see that stuff countersunk. That always looks best to me. And they gave some washers. I think I'll probably put one on. And they provided 2 washers, which makes me think that they think it's going to bottom out before it tightens. Let's see if that's true. Nope, didn't seem to. So let's pull this one back out and put one of the washers on it. I could probably read the instructions. That probably wouldn't kill me. Except I have a slight problem. I don't know what I did with the instructions. As I mentioned in one of my previous videos, we had a flood a couple months ago, and my house is still torn up. We just got through dealing with the original company that came out and did the cleanup and the drying, and now we're trying to, and the insurance company is done with us, or at least they like to think they're done with us. And We have a couple of checks from them, which isn't going to be enough, but the house is still a mess. Okay, let's make sure they tighten up. I got to line that other one up. Let's find that screw. That would probably be this one. Guys at MacEwen are probably going to watch and go, oh God, you're putting it together wrong. Okay, that's not the screw for that. So I got to get it back out of there, which means I need something that has a little magnetism on it. Let's use that. That doesn't. I'll be darned. How about the other screwdriver that I had? My Phillips is magnetized. I just don't remember where I left it. Let me look in here a little better. Yeah, I already can see I'm going to fast forward through this. Of course, those screws might not be. Yeah, those screws aren't. That is definitely magnetized, but that screw's not coming up. So I am going to have to loosen these others and take them out to get that screw out. God, that actually fit in there. You know what? I actually think that is the screw that they want to use in there, because this other one I don't think would work in it. Okay, well, I thought I goofed up, but maybe I didn't. Let's put these back. I hate stacking washers at all under things like these Allen heads, and I hate even more stacking them. And yes, that's a pet peeve. It doesn't affect its functionality one little bit. It just bugs me. And you do not need to super tighten these. Do yourself a favor. Do not super tighten this stuff. I appear to have a slight, no I don't, it looks okay. So snug, and another 1/8 to 1/4 of a turn is fine. It's not going anywhere. You can check it every 100 hours and see if it's loosening. It probably won't. So there's our base. We're going to put the pivot arm on next. Now let's check the height of that gear first. So let's spin the motor around so we can get to that. And height of our gear. I want to be right about in the middle of this little extendo part. I would say right about there is good. Honestly, I don't expect this gear to wear. I don't do the kind of filaments that would cause lots of wear on the gear. Okay, there we go. That's tight. Let's put the arm on. And if I don't fast forward through this, you guys watching, feel free to fast forward through it until you get to a part that's more interesting than this one. Because this isn't exactly exciting or difficult stuff here. That's a pretty unit, that's for sure. And you can tighten that down, and that pivots nicely. I found my Phillips and then proceeded to drop it on the floor, and now it has disappeared just like everything I drop on the floor. There it is, I found it. Oh, no, I didn't. That's a spoon. There's a spoon down there. That is just too funny. Okay, I just want to check this. We'll just do it with this. That is loose. Please don't tell me that binds if you tighten it. It does not. Good job, MacEwen. So now we're going to back these screws out, and we are going to put our spring in. And if I remember correctly, which I'm going to have to go by memory since I appear to have misplaced the instructions, but I've already done one of these, so I got a pretty good idea what they want me to do. MacEwen, if I'm doing this backwards, beat me up. So what they want to do is they want you to put this screw, this fat short Allen inside of there, and then they want you to slide the whole thing in, and they want, did I just knock the camera out of whack? Nope. They want this screw to go inside the spring, and they want this screw to press inside this Allen. And they did tell me in an email at one point in time that these are progressive rate springs. And I have had progressive rate springs on hot rod cars before, and progressive rate springs back in those days, you could tell them because they were wound tighter on one end than they are on another. So how they're getting them progressive rate without that, I'm sure there's some kind of special magic involved that I'm just not familiar with. Now, this screw is now your tension. And as you can see, as you tighten it, it pushes, and you can only go so far. It pushes, that's as tight as it'll go, and that's as loose as it'll go. On my other one, I tightened it down until it was snug, and I gave it a little bit just so that this wouldn't rattle around loose. So, there you have it. We probably want to make sure this is tight, because right now that inner one is and the outer one is not. Let's get my cheapo little wrench that came with the Ender 3, and let's just snug this up like that. And we will go back over it just one more time real quick, make sure I have everything snugged up well. And then we're going to feed some filament in it, and we'll try some flexibles on it and see what we get. Okay, we're happy campers. Our pivot arm doesn't pivot. Okay, that's a problem. Why aren't we pivoting? Something's binding. Let's see if it's that. My guess is it's that and needs some adjustment. Let's start by taking a look and see. Let's back that out. Nope, that's not it. It is, oh, I see what's happening. It's hitting on the screw. Okay, so let me look at my other one real quick. I see on the other one. Oh, I see what I did. Okay, on the other one, I have this screw backed out. Yeah, MacEwen, I know, I lost the instructions. I'm sorry. So let's back this out a ways so that the pivot arm can pivot a bit. That only really needs to be in there far enough to keep the spring from sliding out. Let me see if I can get this on the camera. So now we got some pivot. That makes me happy. And I still like where I have that to start with. I have a good spring tension there, so I'm happy with that. Let's tighten this thing I loosened, this extension I loosened back up, and let's see how we work. Come on. Nope, wrong end. MacEwen's probably watching this thinking, holy crap, if that guy can put it together and it'll work, anybody can. So let's just tighten this all up. Hey, I've built race cars and boats and motorcycles. Not saying they work, but I built them. Okay, we got that put in. That's nice and snug. Our pivot arm pivots, our idler idles. We tightened our gear down. It's nice and in the middle. MacEwen 3D 2018 version of their Mark 8 Flexi Plus installed. I have my spool of Foxsmart TPU filament. My bed is hairsprayed up and it is leveled. I'm running 220 degrees at the nozzle, 50 degrees on the bed. 220 because that's right in the middle range of what Foxsmart recommends for this filament, and 50 degrees on the bed because they don't say anything, and it's what I've had really good luck with. I'm running 4 top layers, 4 bottom layers, 3 walls, and I'm running at 25 millimeters per second with retraction turned off and part cooling turned on. Oh, and look what I found! I found the instructions, and guess what? I put it together right. Ha ha ha. So you can all stop laughing at me. Oh, and what am I going to print first? I have this old aluminum ladder. I've probably had the thing for 20 years. It's one of those ladders that it's not a little giant, but it's like a little giant. You can turn it into a scaffolder, a regular type ladder, or you can turn it into a straight ladder like for getting on your roof. And when you make it a straight ladder for getting on your roof, it has one end has these wider legs, and it had these big plastic things on the bottom, shoved on the bottom of the aluminum on either side to keep the thing from sliding out from under you. Well, those have been gone for about a decade now. So somebody either, if it's on dirt or grass, it won't go anywhere. But if it's on concrete, somebody has to hold it or the thing's going to slide away. Just that simple. So I went into Fusion and I designed myself up some pieces to replace that. And we're going to print those in this Foxsmart. They take about 8 hours to print at the speed I'm going to print it at. I designed them up. I'd show you the design, but what the heck? Let's print it and I'll show you the prints. Okay, it's the next morning, and I have printed 2 of these ladder feet end cap plug type of things for my old Kraus Multimatic ladder. And you can see They're very flexible. This pushes over. There's a piece of horizontal rectangular tubing that goes across the bottom on one end. And these push on either side like that. And then the feet dig in to the dirt or give you some resistance against rough surfaces so it doesn't slide out from under you. They are very flexible in here. I'm going to glue these on the ends. They fit snug, but I'm going to glue them on with silicone or something like that to keep them from coming off. You can deform them slightly. I think 30% infill was perfect. They can be deformed slightly, but they're pretty solid. So the only question is how durable they'll be, and maybe I'll do another video about how durable this filament is. This is the Foxmart TPU, and it is crazy flexible. It doesn't have a lot of stretch to it. You can stretch it a little bit, but not much. But you tie it into a knot and untie it. It has the big advantages to me in this type of flexible filament is that it has great impact resistance. You can hammer on that and it will not break. Also, you can deform it and it will not break, crack, or shatter. So that's the advantage of it to me for something like this. This has been a mini review for me of the MacEwen 2018 Flexi Plus extruder for the Ender 3. If you are going to print the crazy flexible filament, this is one of the best, maybe the best, certainly that I've used extruder mechanisms for it. You can use some of the others, even the earlier version of the MacEwen, the regular Mark 8. You have to print, if you can see it here, this black part, you have to print that to give the filament some support as it comes out of the feed gear in the roller. This one has a metal part, and you'll see it in the previous portion of the video, a metal part that extends out, and that allows you to adjust it, and that metal part is going to be longer lasting and more solid than the plastic piece. This just didn't have a single hiccup feeding this crazy flexible. You can't push that. I mean, you can't push this stuff, but yet this did it successfully all the way through. This is, if I were going to buy a replacement feed mechanism extruder for the Ender 3, this is the one I would buy today. They're all good. All of the aluminum replacements for this are good. Which one is the best for flexibles? I think this one probably is. But I haven't tried them all, so this one is certainly at the top of my list. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section down below. If you like my videos, please like and subscribe. I hope I've helped you some. I've got some affiliate links down there if you're feeling generous and you want to buy something. I'd appreciate it if you'd use them. Other than that, hope you guys have a great new year. I've got another video coming out soon, so stay tuned. Have a great day. Bye now.